When we were at the Holy Land recently with Olivet Nazarene University, the new university president sat down. We were discussing different situations in our lives, and he was curious and asked me a few questions about my transition out of my last church, Crossroads. And it was a health condition that I have. He was questioning it, asking questions about the cardiopulmonary part of that. And, I was laying out the story for him. He seemed interested. And I have a tendency to make my stories longer than they ought to be, at least according to others. Sometimes I do. I admit that, even now maybe. But as he was asking me that, he had a purpose for it. He asked me about my health condition and the prognosis of it because he wanted to ask me how I process it spiritually. And Marcel and I, because of that second heart attack I had, and I was 100% blocked in the Widowmaker, the L.A.D., lower ascending, whatever it is, L.A.D. I went back over that with the president and was describing how Marcel and I call each day a bonus day. And then that led me to 2 or 3 different lines of thought. And I'm just going to share them from my heart today. Not a particular passage per se, but the whole Bible, in fact. He was asking me how you process a sober diagnosis, and then what's that do to your life? And as I just shared it and verbally processed it, I came up with 4 things. L, listen. Always be a listener, not a talker. As long as we're listening, we can hear the still small voice of God. As long as we're listening to other people, we can always open our minds and our hearts up to who and what they are and where they are on their spiritual journey. The problem we have is we live in a culture that just trades stories. You tell your story, I tell mine, then it's your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. And as long as we're trading stories, we're not really listening to each other. What we need to do is quit swapping stories and engage ourselves in the process of truly listening and hearing what somebody else is saying. And somewhere in the process, we might come to grips with what we can actually be praying for them about and for, if we listen. O is the concept of onward. Always be looking onward. Not necessarily forward, not necessarily moving forward, but always thinking onward. Because with onward comes both a motion and an attitude. That I'm not going to rest on the past. I'm not going to be looking towards the past. I'm going to be moving onward because God has constant new horizons for us. Always think onward. Forget those things that are behind and move towards what is ahead. And always in the onward thinking is that ahead of me are my best days. Ahead of me is my greatest opportunity. Always think onward. V, value. Always find value in people. Always find value in situations. Because if we don't look for the value, we'll never see value. If we don't look for value in other people, all we're going to see is how unvaluable they are. If we don't see value in a situation, we're going to be constantly caught in a downward vortex. We need to see and appreciate and affirm value. Nothing's wasted. And then E of my 4 concepts. Listen, onward, value. 3 is to enjoy. Enjoyment. Embrace a moment. Enjoy the opportunity. Enjoy people. Enjoy circumstances. Find enjoyment in every situation you find yourself. Listen, onward, value, enjoyment. L.O.V.E. God bless.